maybe schedule out posts ahead of these committee meetings. Um, so we try to get some more traction and people joining for these committee meetings. I think that would be great. Um, yeah, I think that would be helpful, and it's just another good, you know, way to get some content out there and people engaged. Cool. All right. Just 1 second, and then I will get started, and we can invite some folks up and give updates and all that fun stuff. I did. I know you were there for it, but I did show up this morning to the builders meeting. Lots of interesting things folks are working on, and yeah. So got lots of stuff cooking, and very excited about all the things that are happening in the ecosystem right now and all the progress that folks are making on their um, you know on their different projects, and the community really rallying around some of these different projects, and we can provide some good updates here in a little bit. I'm not sure if Zarmian's able to join, but I was talking with him earlier about a few different things. Um, and we'll touch on some of those things as we head along. I'm not sure if there's been any big feature updates with the Voy wallet. I did notice that when you go to claim different your excuse me when you go to claim your rewards that are being distributed, you can actually send those rewards to a different wallet. So that's pretty interesting as well. Um, so I know I think that's a new update for the Void wallet. I know that Snowball Dex has also been updated as well. So there's a few new routes that have been included. And if I'm not mistaken, Ludo has also been asking about the snowball swap and the Dex aggregator too. So we can get Ludo up here to give an air mid update and talk about Beatic wallet as well if he's interested. Yeah, let's get him up here. Ludo, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you popping in here and showing up. Oh, let's see. Did he come up? Yeah, there he is.
Hello,
Hey, how you doing, Ludo?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How are you?
I am doing good, man. I'm doing good. We'll push you up on the agenda here, and if you want to provide an update on any any new features or any uh, any updates, because I know you've been hard at work on some of the air mid updates and Beatic updates as well. So it's always good to hear from you and talk about your project.
Yeah, regarding Aramid, we have now the script which can do the batch of reversion of the transaction. So any transaction that got stuck or something, if Aramid bridge gets stuck for some reason, then we can like do mass process or revert of the transaction. So this
So
is
it's all bundling those transactions together. Is that what it's all about?
um yeah, it's about creating of the payload and checking the transactions because we need still to verify that uh, some transaction because the reverting of the transaction like when some transaction gets stuck we need to do it manually.
Mm.
And now we have a script that allows us to do like uh, the Aramid Explorer can export the stacked transactions and then from this list we can basically select the transactions that um, uh, we want to do, like batch process or revert, and then we can do this process basically more uh, better. But it's still pending review from Daniel. Uh, so yeah, he made some upgrades on the Explorer, and I created few new issues in the Explorer and created him some pull requests. So uh, yeah, the Explorer is getting better and better.
That's awesome.
And
I know that.
Beatic Valley, yeah,
Yeah, I know that's been definitely one of those features that's been requested quite a bit. So it's awesome to see that you put it out there. It's great.
yeah, also for the future, like if for whatever reason the bridging will be paused and any users' funds will be stuck there, then we can like batch process them much more easily. So the Beatic wallet, there's some small tunings. It's still not yet in the. I still didn't push this to the main thing, but basically I don't know any reason why it should not be there. So it will be released probably very soon.
Nice.
Also, I have not received any feedback that the beta is not working for Aramid, and but Daniel, like I'm waiting at least confirmation from Daniel that it's working for him. So, uh, so this still waiting for this.
Hmm.
Daniel said that last week he was very busy in work, and basically he did some update only yesterday.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, taking good time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know there were.
And I'm again quite pissed on the XGO
Yeah.
as my XGO council voted against my proposal, and Fox Finance, who has monopoly there, uh, basically followed the XGO council vote. So four people voted against my proposal to fund the C Sharp development support, and yeah, so it got rejected basically.
Was that the Void Council, or are you talking NextGov?
The XL.
Hmm. Got it.
Uh,
Nice.
um, yeah, so I don't know like how to how to fund my projects on Algorand, but
So one of the things that's kind of come up in with the Voy Foundation, it's actually a proposal right now, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But it's to allow the Voy Treasury to be able to pay, um, you know, pe- projects in WAD stablecoin rather than in Voy. So you may have an opportunity to fund your projects through Voy if they're, Voy specific Voy
but I still
projects.
consider that Void doesn't have a lot of money. Like even if I get some Void, like I cannot guess it because like the Void price is basically at minimum price I would consider the Algo token to be, so it's not reasonable to
So
sell it.
this proposal would be is actually for Voy to be able to put some Voy in a treasury on DorkFi and mint WAD to be able to pay projects in the US dollar denominated stablecoin. So you
Yeah, I
could
understand, but
you could
still the
request.
what what might have some USDC supply, right? Like also the DocFi 20% interest rate on USDC at the moment is not very sustainable.
Right. No, we understand that. We're talking payments in WAD, so you could go and swap that for USDC if you wanted to on either Humble or Nomadex. There are some incentives there, um, to incentivize people to deposit and bridge more USDC over to uh, over to Voy through obviously Aramid there. I think that the depth and liquidity will grow over time as more people want to use WAD, and um, those incentives would likely go higher as um, you know that pool ends up getting utilized more. So what I kind of how I'm imagining it is we would have individuals that are getting paid for their project work in say WAD. They might want to go either hold that WAD or they might want to go swap it for AUSDC, and as that pool kind of gets utilized more, the the APR would go higher, signaling a way for or somebody to come and take advantage of that utilization, bridge USDC over, and kind of deepen the pool itself. So it would be a way to protect the the price of Voy, and also incentivize more USDC to be bridged over. So it's kind of a win-win for you, and Aramid.
Okay, perhaps I have to see this from the recording because I don't understand completely. But yeah, can
Okay.
you send the
Yeah,
recording
we'll
here to
we'll
the
talk
chat?
about
Let me know.
it a little bit more when we get into the open discussion side of things. But also would love to invite Zarmian if he's able to pop up here for a minute, talk about some of the Void Wallet updates and Snowball Dex update as well. If there's been any updates there or AVM Studio, um, talk about that a little bit. And I know a little later on in the open discussion, we were planning on having a conversation about the potential hackathon with the AVM Studio. Yeah, there he is.
Hey,
Sorry, what's going on, man? How you doing?
pretty good.
Fantastic.
I think this is a isn't this a shared chat? No, maybe not. I guess it's different. Um, let's see. So I don't think I have a lot of. I don't have a lot of changes or updates for Boy Wallet currently. A little distracted. I got it to like a relatively stable point, and then I'm working on doing some. I'm gonna pick that up again. I did update Voy rewards today so that it no longer includes the ballast node um, um, earnings. It don't no longer it now shows reflects the correct API without like the block authority getting the 25%. So that should now be accurate throughout the site. If there are if anyone sees anything off or inconsistent, just let me know. You can fix those. I have a few bugs I need to work on with Snowball Swap. It's got some, it's got a few issues that were reported. So those are on my list to look at. Um, I did talk to Bagman today about multi-sig support in Voy Wallet, which I want to try to tackle, and that will probably be the next like big feature I try to tackle.
Do it.
And then the only other thing is AVM Studio. So I talked about it in the developer call this morning, but I'll kind of rehash. There's an update going out that should fix some of the issues. There's some like I don't think the current version that's available is really usable right now. So I have a new version I'm going to deploy to hopefully today, possibly tomorrow. Um, and the three main things it adds, if I can remember them off the top of my head, I created a documentation site or page which details the different features of the platform and what the how it's supposed to work. Because up until now there's no real documentation. It's kind of like find your way around. Um, but the biggest one is I added um, the support for D13's ghost contract concept, which is basically allows you to deploy without deploying a contract, I should say, allows you to test the contract without deploying it using the simulation. So you create a transaction group of like method calls or um, yeah, I guess just method calls. You create your transaction group. It can include payments. It can include ASA payments, um, and then you you basically test it and you execute it, and the payload includes the contract itself or multiple contracts, and it allows it to simulate the whole thing with deployment. So it like deploys, transaction one is deploying the contract, and two and three might be method calls, and you can actually see like this, like trace the state changes, and see like the opcode budget for each transaction and what it's consuming, see the box usage, and stuff like that. So, and you can see like the return values from each transaction, which would be each app call, um, and like the state change from each app call. So it's I think a really cool troubleshooting or testing framework, um, that that is visual. So I think there's a cool value to it.
Did you
Um,
say stimulate the whole?
God damn it. Anyway, that's all I've got. I can't remember the third thing. So if anyone else, or if Bagman, if you remember that, there was some other change to it. But new the AI development assistant
Yeah.
is now there's a basically a generous free tier through Open Router. So there's a couple of free models, so you don't have to bring your own API key anymore to try it out. So you can like ask questions, and it's connected to the Go Plausible MCP server for documentation. So there's a value there as well.
That's
Some
awesome.
cool stuff you can do with it now.
Yeah, I know that's like something that is a total game changer. To be able to um, vibe code and have that um, right into the studio as well for front end stuff.
Yeah, there's like the neat thing about it is you could take a contract you made elsewhere, import like just copy and paste it in, and build it, and then you have all the artifacts, and you have like a nice directory structure, and you can export it, and you have it all like with the arc56 JSON file with an HTML documentation page that it generates automatically that includes all like the JS doc comments. Um, I think I, I would like to continue to iterate on this and get feedback from people and see like you know, um, what could be useful. But I think the coolest thing is that you can start using it without, there's no installation. Like you can go to the web page and you can start using it, and you can kind of make something or try like thinking about things without having to actually install an application on your machine.
That's awesome. It's really cool, and I think yeah, we'll get to it in a minute here about the hackathon, um, and just kind of throwing out some ideas around it. But I think the AVM Studio is like one of the perfect. When we were talking about the hackathon previously we didn't really have like a
Yeah, place to direct people to like get started.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the AVM Studio, you have a real tool to kind of help with um, some of that work where it's not as manual when it comes to directing people to, hey, how do we, create the contracts and how do we create, the front end for and connect the contracts and all that fun stuff. So the AVM Studio really presents a unique opportunity for us to um, remove some of that heavy lift of supporting, you know, new people into the ecosystem that might be looking to build out contracts and start playing around with the ecosystem in general. So definitely excited about that, and it's pretty slick. I haven't delved too deep into it. I've messed around a little bit, but I want to been getting distracted with other things that are important as well to the ecosystem. But I want to mess around and try to get my Voy hat game going. Choose the random hat that's got the ball under it game. So I think that would be kind of a fun little use case to try to get it running and without having to ask too much help from people who are busy. Um, but
So
yeah, I
I'm
think that's exciting too, and we can jump to the hackathon stuff in just a minute, but want to get an update on um, House of Void too. I know that was talking about having it hopefully ready before ETH Denver, and
pretty sure though he said he would murder me if he didn't have it by.
yeah, I heard that too, and I was like, really threatening with violence. Maybe he's a little too close to Venezuela. Um, anyway, uh, but yeah, it sounded like there's been some significant progress on House of Voy and the front end development of it. I saw a cool screenshot, and previously I'd seen some cool animations for House of Voy as well that are going to be included in this. It's, if I'm not mistaken, like Buffalo Stampede game.
Mhm.
So I
Yep.
don't know if you want to expand a little bit on that as well.
I don't know if I can do it justice, but we're working on getting. We're basically going through, or I'm going through basically more or less a third rewrite to get things right. Take everything we've learned in like the prototype stage and the what I would call a beta stage, and now um, we have like the game engine being built, and then the and design being built, and are uh, those are coming together, and then I'm working on like the rest of it. And I think I I really do think it's coming together. It's going to be. Let me put it this way. It has exceeded my expectations on what I think this is going to look like, and it will be a really cool. I think a really cool game. So, and just the start. So, um, yeah, more. I mean, we should have more within the next couple weeks, I would think, um, and then we'll see where things go from there.
Sweet. I'll just provide a quick little update on Dorkify as well. We pushed out several different updates, and I'll kind of read through a couple of them. One of which was adding a portfolio view by address functionality that allows for people to, if they've got the minimum requirements, um, they can update their portfolio image. So you can use a Dork V1, Dork V2, or a Chub as your portfolio profile picture. One of the requirements is it's routed through Envoy, so you got to have an Envoy address and a Chubb V2 or V1, um, and it's just a quick little sign the transaction. I think those are the only requirements. Am I missing any other requirements? I think those are the only ones.
Yeah, not Chubb V2, the Dork, because
Or
Chubb
V2.
V2 went the way of the Dodo
Yep,
for now.
exactly. They may come back eventually. We may resurrect them somewhere along the line. Um, there's been a couple of updates um, to the actual collateral factors for several tokens. We made some updates to increase the collateral factor for Algorand on the algo side, and also on the algo side, GoBTC is a more higher collateral factor at this point. We understand that it's a blue chip asset, and wanted to make sure that that market is competitive with other markets. We've also added in our phase one incentives. So you have the ability to claim phase one incentives from the VOI um, incentive program. So if you haven't claimed already, go ahead and claim. You can claim and have it direct deposited into your wallet or direct deposited into the VOI market as well. So that's a new feature that we've put out there too. And then there have been a couple of other updates too on um, the docs page. So you can go and check out our, some of the information around the A markets and B markets and what that all means. We've gotten lots of questions about A markets, B markets. What's that WAD B market doing there? What is it, for? All that stuff. So go ahead and check out docs.dork.fi. A couple of things that we are currently working on. We're working on, additional expansion into additional ecosystems. Base would be the next one. But for the voice side of things, one of the really interesting things that we're working on that has been a part of our roadmap for quite some time is offering lending on locked contracts. So folks that have their tokens that are locked up from testnet will be able to unlock some of that liquidity too we haven't set in place any of the collateral factors or loan to value ratios for those particular contracts, but in the somewhat near future, we don't have dates for it yet, but just want to give a little teaser out there that that's something that is in the mix here, coming sooner rather than later. So that's on our more immediate roadmap. Um, so, and there's a few other things that we'll be pushing out updates on in the near future as well that we're working on. Oh, and I don't think this was out last time, but we've got our analytics page too. So go check out app.dork.fi/analytics, and you can keep track of how the protocol is growing and kind of what the usage is and all that fun stuff as well. And feel free to make recommendations in the DorkFi request hotline channel if you'd like to see some other data points or have any feedback really, or things that you'd like to see us working on as well. I know with this new Void Treasury proposal in the hopper, something else that we've got our eyes on, which will take a little bit of time to push out there, but something else that we're really focusing on is DAO Treasury tooling as well. So things like that to make it easier for DAOs to be able to manage their treasury and integrating things like the grant pay tool with that DAO treasury functionality is something that we're talking about. We haven't actually built it yet, but it's something that's on the radar for maybe Q2 or Q3. So yeah, there's all sorts of things that we're working on. Did I miss anything, Haruf?
I think you did an excellent job.
Sweet, awesome. Let's jump into hackathon and then we can go into kind of social media stats. Just because I know that we've got kind of maybe we might have some limited time with Zarmian here. But yeah, let's chat about the hackathon. Kind of the idea was, hey, what's something that we can do that will attract more users and more people to come and build and do things with Voy. And since we now have the AVM studio and kind of like a place to direct people to have a framework for how to work on these different projects, the overwhelming consensus among the community members is, hey, why not push people and developers to go and test out and use the AVM Studio. So the idea is to, have some type of hackathon, and I know Fury's done some work in the past. We had a hackathon proposal that was on the table for a long time, all of last year, pretty much, but we couldn't. I think the overwhelming consensus on why it didn't get passed through was a few things. It was one, is it worth it to do a hackathon right now? Do we have enough, you know, enough of a point for people to go and do it? Do we have enough support for it? And then also, like, how can we make this attractive for builders and developers to be able to get paid in some type of US denominated stablecoin or something other than, potentially Voy. So I think and it's a little bit of a short turn, but one of the big things that's coming up is also ETH Denver, where there's obviously a ton of really qualified developers and people running around ETH Denver, and it would be nice to have, even if we didn't do it exactly during ETH Denver, which I think would be kind of ideal to do it then. But if we didn't do it during then, at least have the format in place so that we could, promote the hackathon there. And this morning was talking with Zarmian about it, but I didn't want to put out a proposal for the hackathon through to the AVM studio without your blessing, because I know it's a little bit of a heavy lift from a platform perspective, and wouldn't want to put you in a tough spot where you're not able to help service people, or if the platform's not quite ready yet for the masses to get in there and start battling for the hackathon. So just wanted to kind of bring it up. And I also think the hackathon, would come through a proposal through this Voyager ecosystem committee. So, it's just, it's not like we're asking you, Zarmian, to come up with a proposal. We're just asking you to be a partner and be there to, support and service. So, curious as to your thoughts on maybe timing and just general thoughts, and I know we kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but
Yeah, I mean, my general thought is that I love the idea. I'm completely dedicated to helping as much as I possibly can. The platform definitely still needs some work, and I would say some attention. I'm not going to say hardening because I know that that'll get Ruth's attention, but they, but it definitely needs some more more people to try it out and just kind of push the buttons and see what happens and what works and what doesn't work and where errors pop up and where things don't seem right. Because my biggest concern, and I talked about that this morning, is if things go wrong and it creates essentially a bad impression for potential developers that are, or even not developers that are just interested in trying you know, trying this because they heard about it through the promotion that you're doing. Um, that it is connected to Voy, so it I wouldn't want it to give a bad impression that way. But as long as the platform works, and we've felt that it's been tested well enough that we can at least expect people to get a decent experience out of it. Um, I'm I think it's an awesome idea, and I think we
Thank
can do that. So I'm definitely on board.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm all for it, and also just like a thought that came to mind just as you were speaking too is like maybe it's about the AVM Studio, but there and you would get extra points from being from the judges if you use AVM Studio, but we wouldn't limit people who just created an application, out of the blue without using the AVM Studio. It's just you would get a kicker to use it. I don't know. I think really it would make the most sense if we are using the tooling, so make it a requirement that you build something using AVM Studio, and it's built on Voy or using Voy
Deployed to
and
Voy, yeah.
deploy to Voy exactly. But you can deploy obviously to Algorand as well. Um, so it could be kind of like multi-chain in that way. Um, I think the other thing would be for the hackathon in general, make it so that it has US like a stable coin be paid in WAD, where it's a little bit more attractive um, for builders out there that want to earn in a US dollar denominated stable coin rather than getting paid out in Voy. So we could, from that perspective, we would be able to market it a little bit easier in some ways. Where it's like, hey, we've got $3,000 or $5,000 or something. I don't know what the value, what the you know um, what would get you guys out of bed as developers between you and Ludo here or anybody else who's in the audience, for a prize? Like, what's a good pot for like a first, second, and third place, prize?
And I think especially if you're targeting individuals rather than teams, because teams have to consider that they're going to split any sort of prize that they do get. Um, but if you're targeting individuals, the prize doesn't have to be as significant. I've uh, it's hard to say, but it's my take on it.
And how many, what would success look like for you, for usage and utilization out of ABM Studio? Like 5 projects, 10 projects, 20 projects, kind of pushing out different things. Obviously, the more the merrier, but I'm sure there's kind of a success metric, because one of my thoughts is, we're trying to you know do this in such a way where there is a real measurable outcome, right?
Mhm.
So we don't want to just do a hackathon for the sake of doing a hackathon. We want to have some measurables there, and so in that, it's like probably one of the measurables is how many projects or people come and start using the platform. Another one is what what are the types of things that end up getting built and developed, and maybe we put like a handful of different types of tooling or applications or platforms or contracts uh, that could then later have a front end developed for it or whatever. So it's just thinking through like what do we want to see, what are the outcomes we would like to have from this hackathon.
Uh,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Like, why should I use AVM Studio instead of VS Code?
It depends on what you're interested in using. So the value of AVM Studio, in my opinion, and this is sort of just a thing that I put together because I felt like I just wanted to have fun with it. There isn't a necessarily like you should use it over something else. It's more like the value I think it provides, or a few things, is really an integrated environment for not just creating a contract. And I think the linting and stuff like that in VS Code is going to be better, and the customizability of the IDE is going to be better. Um, so you could just write your contract in VS Code. But what AVM Studio does, in addition to that, is what I think is the cool part, which um, is the ability to it builds out documentation for the project. It builds the project. It's basically a cloud build function, so you don't need AlgoKit installed. So for somebody that just wants to try writing a contract but doesn't want to go through all the documentation about how to install AlgoKit and use the command line tools and stuff like that, it's a one button click to build. And then there's project settings and management of projects as different entities. So and management of organizations. So like you can be part of an organization. That part I haven't really built out yet, but the idea is that you would be part of an organization, which is really a team, so that a team can collaborate on a project and have projects, you know, with that team. Um, but the other functionality it has is like the ability to deploy directly from it. Um, So you can deploy to your choice of network and manage the networks, and you can add additional networks to it. So it has like Voi and it has Algorand main and testnet pre-configured, but you can add custom networks as well to your profile, um, and then you can actually manage deployed applications. So let's say you have a a group of you have a contract or you have a contract file that contains three different actual contracts. Those all get built together, and now you can deploy those, and that results in three apps, right? Three application IDs on the network, and you can tie them to it, and you can actually like explore those. You can see them all sort of together as part of your project. So if you have, let's say you deploy that group three different times, you can now group them three different times. So the deploy side of it is a whole different tool. And then there's an explorer, and that allows you to like view events, um, to view like the state of each application, to view transactions and stuff like that. With the idea that it's geared more toward what I personally think is useful, as a not a real contract developer, um, but in trying to like grab data and see what's happening to the contract. And then the other part is what I talked about earlier, which is the capability to test the code. So you can simulate the deployment and also method calls as part of the deployment. Let's say you have a bootstrap method call, so you can run that, and you could even create test scenarios that make sure that a wallet that or an address that calls a function on or a method on the contract that shouldn't be able to do something actually errors out and stuff like that. And that tooling will hopefully be improved over time so that you could actually say this should error out and run a suite of tests that that doesn't exist quite yet. But those are that's kind of the direction that I'm thinking that it can continue to be built out. So the short answer is no reason, but the long answer is that I think it has things beyond just writing a contract that would be useful to anybody that is creating contracts.
And then to go back to the question about what would success look like to you from a hackathon perspective, what are your thoughts in terms of outcomes?
I mean, I personally think bringing in any creating an awareness to any developers that especially ones that are not familiar with ABM and getting them to kind of like try out ideas and see what they can create is a big deal. Um, even and I think the numbers you threw out, like 10 to 20 in immediately, I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool to see that sort of usage, especially when you're talking about 10 to 20 individuals that are all targeted on kind of like creating a contract idea or like especially because you could potentially see some real sophistication there beyond like a hello world application.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense to me, and just I think we'll need to put a little bit of thought into like what some of the kind of contracts might look like and what the judges will be evaluating on as well. Because there are a lot of different ways people could use it, and it's one of those things that um, we'll probably want to have a handful of um, outcomes that we're looking to drive from this. Fury, any thoughts on what we've talked about? I know you've been working on putting together the hackathon format and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. What AVM Studio is bringing to the table is creating that contract, right? The back, which we'll call the back end, um, and then you can export that, and then you could build a front end, but it doesn't provide the front end tool. So, and I think that that would be something important to highlight in like what the expectations are from somebody building. Are you also expecting them to build a front end? Is that like a nice to have as opposed to a requirement? What should they be able to show? Um, how would they demonstrate their contract or what they've created? Or is that even you know how relevant is that? Or are they just submitting the project export?
By the way, yeah, I think one thing that the AlgoKit templates are missing is that I think from the smart contracts should be created the npm libraries, right? Because this is how the front end communicates with backend, and if from every smart contract is created basic to the npm library, then like more people could integrate into the smart contracts. So, uh, yeah, Like when I'm doing it, I have to do it basically manually. Oh, but yeah, I think this is what is missing in the AlgoKit TypeScript templates, and perhaps it would be great also to generate perhaps Python libraries, because for example when I'm creating the npm libraries, I'm not thinking about the Python people, right? So perhaps we would have some tools to or perhaps it is just to adjust the algorithm templates or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. Um, I like that, Ludo. I appreciate that. I think we can. I think, yep, I agree. I think it could be like if it was done during something like ETH Denver, I would say it should be 1 day. Like, um, that's my opinion. But if it was, on its own as like a separate event, like an online event or a virtual event, I would probably make it a little bit longer. And then you could do things like, ask for a working front end or something like that.
It is the February 17th through the 21st. I think I think that would be enough time. Like if we had, you know, some people on the ground, um, you know, talking about it as we're introducing ourselves, as an opportunity. I think you're going to get, if you have enough time lead up on Twitter as well to attract the core Voy community, Algo community to know that there's, a pot of prize money out there. You'll get some people that are kind of starting to mess around and work on it, and then we can capture some new folks, and say, hey, the hackathon's started on the 17th. It's going to conclude on the 21st, and then the on the someday after, you take a little bit of time to do the judging and evaluating, and then like a week later, crown a winner.
By the way, is it going to be part of the official ETH Denver hackathon or not?
I don't think we have enough time to do that. So it would be like a side project, side hackathon. We're a little late on coordinating with ETH Denver. Just thinking ahead, though, it's something that if we did as like a side, event, or a side project in, um, around that time, we could probably capture a decent amount of folks if we're out there kind of, guerrilla marketing it. And then in the future, next year, when we have a little bit more runway with time, we could, you know, add it as a, work with the Eat Denver folks to, you know, get it added into their structure. Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't have, as far as I know, we don't have a table or a booth, and part of that is just a funding thing. It's like it was somewhere between uh, 16 and $20,000 for the 4 days, just for a booth. So it's cost prohibitive for some of the teams here, but there will be at least I know of at least six individuals that are going to be going and running around. Maybe probably more if Zarmin ends up getting the hall pass to make it over, and then I know Chris is going to be there. Haroof, myself, Shelly. I know Gov is trying to make it for at least a couple days, and then I know Scotty, and I'm not sure if Farnsworth is going to be there again this year, but I'm sure that if he was there, he'd be willing to kind of chat a little bit about it and promote it from a grassroots perspective. Sounds good. Sweet. That's awesome. Cool. That kind of wraps up at least the hackathon discussion. There's some other things on the open discussion, and we're a little bit past the hour mark, or we're just at the hour mark right now. We did start a few minutes later, so we'll keep it running for a few more minutes to kind of get through some of these other topics. Um, the kind of next thing that I wanted to chat about was some of the social media stats. I haven't seen, what the stats look like, but would love to hear if you have them handy. Are you able to maybe take a screenshot of the X account and some of the data that you have access to, and talk a little bit through it, Fury? Yeah, let's add that as an action item. One of the one Yeah, yeah, we're just sure. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. But yeah, from past experiences, and yeah, we don't. What we would like is for exchanges to want to list us without a listing fee. Ultimately, and we've made some strategic decisions to kind of point towards the Dex route and use our own tooling for on and off ramps. So I think that is a significant amount of capital that is not worth paying for a listing at this point. Mhm. Right. Yeah. Totally. Cool. That's good to know. Yeah. So we'll just kind of leave that one there. If they decide they want to submit a proposal, I'm sure that the council would do their due diligence and vote on it. But at this stage, I don't think it's worth our time or energy. One of the other things that I mentioned earlier too, from a social media standpoint, is to just schedule out some posts for these committee meetings and the council meeting. To just make people aware and direct them to join. So if you're able to add that, as a tool. Yeah, I would say like 30 minutes before meeting. I think that's enough time, maybe an hour. And just say, yep, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, so the proposals too, we talked a little bit about it earlier about the, Voight Foundation policy update that, I had actually submitted on behalf of this committee, and then also based on the council themselves being interested and in paying out in WAD to folks or to people who are vendors and have submitted proposals. Essentially, as I mentioned before, it's just a proposal to policy change to allow the council to, excuse me, deposit some VOI into Dorify to be able to then um, you know have a line of credit on that void to be able to pay um, projects in WAD over time. So that is there. I recommend everybody go and read through it. It's on the agenda here as under the proposals that need feedback. So feel free to provide some feedback for that proposal as well in the proposal forum. Um, one of the things that um, the council has signaled to us is a desire to reduce the um, cell pressure that comes from paying folks in voice. So this is just kind of an optional way for proposers and vendors and projects to get paid out in WAD rather than in VOI itself. So it's pretty open ended and just provides some risk guidance in there as well for what some guidelines are. It's not to fund any particular project. It's just an option. So yeah, go check it out. There was also a Predictor IQ product design grant for a prediction market on Voy. It's an interesting idea. I think obviously there's people that would like to have prediction markets on Voy. I also think in some ways there's not quite enough liquidity depth and enough end users to make it worth it. And this is just a product design grant. It's not actually an application to be built. So just kind of keep that in mind as you guys are providing feedback. I know Shelly provided some good feedback on it as well. It's about $8,000 just for a design, which I think is a little steep for just the design itself, but that's just my gut feeling. Uh, the other, policy, or yeah, it was a policy for the BA exit strategy. I think the council has sees that one, if I'm not mistaken, as unnecessary at this point. Now that the block authority has taken down the ballast nodes and is no longer earning block rewards. So I don't think that there's a real need for that one. The Void consensus upgrade, there's some work that's being done on that in the background. But it's always good to have people provide feedback on that too. Action items, I still need to get Fury. I was working on it this morning, but the media kit for different projects, you know, get that to you so you can start to promote different projects in the ecosystem on X as well. And then, X and sweet. That sounds good. Uh, yeah, get you the X analytics data. I know that there's been feedback for Snowball Swap in the Discord that Zarmian's been picking up and running with, and then need to get with Gov once again on the grant pay piece. So
Did,
that
did Fury say he needed the X analytics data? It's available when you log into the account. It's just let's see here. It's yeah, I'm delegated too, I think. You just go to X Premium and then go to Analytics. It's right there. Oh.
yeah. So he's looking for an export of the individual post data.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
I'll add that as an action item as well. And we'll bring that up during the council meeting. Cool. I think that's covers it for this this Voyager ecosystem committee meeting. And yeah, unless anybody has anything else they want to bring to the table or add to the conversation before we call it. No. Okay. Cool. We'll call it. And yeah, very progressive. I'm looking forward to seeing a hackathon proposal and potentially moving forward with that hackathon. I think we should just test the waters and see how it goes. All right, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one.